Dear sis, I came to speak to those who seem to think that moms are just moms. Well, baby, let me let you in on who we really are. We're alarm clocks, we're bathroom attendants, we're hairdressers, we're personal stylists, we're cooks, we're nannies, we're housekeepers, and that's all before we get ourselves together in the morning. We're physicians, but we ain't got no PhD, but we can heal wounds. We're lawyers, we ain't got no degree in that either, but we can mediate between siblings who can't seem to get along, and sometimes adults who act like kids too. We are chefs who could pull together a meal with the little scraps in the refrigerator. We're accountants who can make money stretch when you don't even know. We are strong because we can hide the stress that you don't seem to think we go through. We are all the things that you don't even see at night. With prayer warriors praying over our house when everybody else is asleep. We are the ones that's keeping the enemy at bay because we're the one laying on our face. We are the strong weapons who God has ordained for this position, baby. We ain't just a mother, and you better not even let that come out your mouth again. Let me tell you who we are. We're a superwoman.
I'm booked and busy. That's great, but are you making time for rest?
I'll rest when I'm dead.
Okay, let's learn about hustle culture. Capitalism has many of us overworked, exhausted, and exploited. And like most systems of oppression, we don't have a choice and we're just trying to survive. But hustle culture normalizes this state of oppression by encouraging people to work, work, work. Hustle culture is a fast-paced working environment that thrives off long working hours and a restless sense of striving towards some type of goal. It's also called toxic productivity and being a workaholic. And while you're working, hustle culture doesn't. Working long hours and getting little sleep actually decreases our productivity, effectiveness, and focus. Hustle culture is harmful. Stress from overwork leads to adverse consequences on our mental and physical health. Not only do you deserve rest, you need it.
Smarter in seconds.
When a woman risks her position, her livelihood, and her very life to speak an uncomfortable truth that this country resents, she is undoubtedly a member of my tribe, cut from the same cloth and welcome at this table. The magic that exists when such women gather is unmatched by any other. It's the truth tellers for me. Now, if you watch The ReidOut or follow a certain group of women on social media, you know that I was away last weekend locking arms with such women. And listen, I know there are a lot of challenges in the world right now. We're navigating the perils of policy that will undoubtedly have a devastating impact on most of us. We suffered through collective trauma as we watched a global pandemic bring with it a wave of sickness and death and financial ruin to many. Some of us were part of a movement to declare that our own lives mattered, and we watched in horror countless Black bodies being harmed and murdered, and not to mention the attacks on our fellow countrymen. Through these times, this group of women found space to connect, confess, champion, fight, fellowship, support, share, uplift, and love. And as we led conversations around protecting our mental health, just as Simone Biles and Naomi Osaka declared, we thought it was high time that we lived it. The amazing Angela Rye and fearless Jemele Hill convened an unforgettable experience in the beautiful city of Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. But it was the company for me. My beautiful sister, Joy Reid, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, Erin Haynes, Alicia Garza, Latasha Brown, and Sunny Hostin. We had many, many intense conversations. We discussed the liberation of Black Americans, the chokehold on voting rights, the battle cries of Black women, the hardships of the diaspora. We plotted and we planned. But to be honest with you guys, we mostly laughed and cried and laughed some more. We sang and danced. We jumped off a yacht into the ocean and floated. We ate whatever we wanted and forgot to count the calories. We connected and poured into each other and drew nothing but love from the collective sisterhood. We held hands. We chained a soul. And it was fitting that we gathered around Black Women's Equal Pay Day because just as Jay-Z said, here we measure success by how many people are successful next to you. Here we say you're broke if everybody is broke except for you. Bosses, we're all committed to helping each other and you secure the bag. We work tirelessly and fearlessly, like many of you. We each work for the people. So in the words of Dr. Christina Greer, it's life-saving to normalize rest. We all must catch our breath sometimes. Beyonce once said that as much as she loves her husband, there is nothing like a conversation with a woman who understands you. I echo that 1,000,000 times over. The truth is, it really didn't matter if we convened in Cabo, Compton, or Cleveland. It was the women with the range for me. And so I wish for all of you to find or create that safe space with your tribe and exhale, be it a cocktail or mocktail on your porch, breaking bread at your own kitchen table, or sitting poolside on a weekend trip. When life has you against the ropes, you deserve a moment to breathe before getting back into this fight. So thank you to my tribe, Angela and Jamel, and all my other sisters for creating an unforgettable experience to do just that. And now, the work resumes. Stay tuned to find out who got next.
My name is Henry Turnier, and I am a licensed professional counselor at Counseling and Wellness Center of Pittsburgh. Today I wanted to talk about self-care for men. Self-care is an important topic that a lot of us don't talk about. We're told by society, the media, and even our families that we need to be constantly working and grinding in order to live a happy and successful life. However, if we neglect self-care, we can experience burnout, feelings of emptiness, anxiety, and even depression. Here are 5 self-care tips for men. Number 1, work out. Our mental health affects our physical health and vice versa. Working out releases endorphins, which causes us to feel better, and a healthy body can also lead to a healthy mind. Number 2, quality time with friends and family. This does not mean sitting around binging Netflix. What I mean is being intentional about taking time out to spend with people that you care about and having meaningful conversations and experiences. This allows you to feel more connected and less isolated. Number 3, journal. I personally recommend writing in a journal because it allows you to get excess thought out of your head. Also, later on, you can read through what you've written and reflect on your own personal growth. Number 4, go for a walk. Sometimes what we need to feel less overwhelmed is to have a brief change in environment. Take some time during the day to take in nature, if the weather allows it, or simply take a quick lap around the office. This can interrupt the monotony of the day and give your mind a much-needed break. Number 5, say no and do not feel guilty. The word no is truly powerful. It allows you to set boundaries and mean it. By saying no and meaning it, you put your comfortability and well-being first. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. What are some of the other ways that you can engage in self-care? Give it some thought and try it out.
A problem that we have with communications, we don't know how to start it.
Voluntarily start
Yes.
that conversation.
Yeah.
And so to have an individual with an objective perspective guide you that way, then it just like, it releases. It's like taking a deep, like, sigh.
My wife and I did premarital counseling
And that was in the church as well, or outside?
through the church and also outside.
Oh, you had 2 different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and I believe in continuing therapy just
Okay.
because, like, when it comes to communication in marriage, it's a multi-layered thing. It's not just you expressing what's on your mind and your wife is going to receive it. No,
Right.
it's multi-layered. So the value to me when I would go is to have a person that can be objective and hear what I'm saying
Hear my
without
word.
any emotions attached to it and just articulate it so that my wife could receive it. Because sometimes ego would change my delivery. Like, you should be understanding what I'm saying. And now I'm having a condescending tone and my wife is completely shut down.
Yeah.
So if anything, just to open up the lines of communication, that was the value that, the mediator, I would say, was able to provide.
Does it work? I mean, did it?
If I heard him right, he's continuing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just go.
I think it's not you go once and then your
Right,
issues are
yeah.
solved. It's a continuing thing. Like marriage, just like anything else, like acting or whatever, you're pursuing.
Keep practicing. You gotta
Yeah,
keep
you're
working.
always in classes.
Yeah.
You're always taking new headshots because you're always changing and developing, and you always have to adapt. So I'm not the same man I was when we got married 3.5 years ago. We got a 1.5-year-old now. She's due in 2 weeks with another one. So she's a completely different person, like
Right.
spiritually, physically, and so I have to adapt to now dealing with hormones.
Yeah.
When she's pregnant. So now when I say something and she responds, and now we're arguing over an ankle sock, I'm like, whoa, what happened? But I'm not arguing with her. It's the hormones that's now impacting how we communicate. So I got to go back like, hey,
Yeah.
have somebody else help us hash this out. Help my wife understand, like, no, your husband's not attacking you. He just doesn't adapt as quickly as your hormones are changing.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But if it is the hormones, right? No, that's something psychological, or that's something that's innate. So even if you have therapy, right, and the hormones is attacking her, what can therapy do?
My description of therapy is this: it's a way to actually properly communicate without talking directly to your partner with the heightened sense of anger, with the misinterpretation of what voice you're trying to share.
Got you.
You know, it's someone that's objective. They don't know you. It's like this right here. This is not considered a therapy session, but this is what therapy is. This is all of us talking about our experiences, and everyone's giving a little bit of insight. It's helping us. It's allowing us to take stress off of our shoulders.
True.
So when I was in my relationship, we had hit like a real rocky patch, and going to therapy every week, when we would talk about our problems and issues, it would just add another layer of that, because now I feel like I'm being attacked. So then I'm in defense mode. So now I'm attacking her.
Yep.
So now we're just having this bubble's just getting bigger and bigger. But now we talk to someone with an objective perspective that doesn't have any bias. It's not her friends, it's not my friends.
Yep.
This is an individual who's literally just talking to what they see that's in front of them, what you're delivering. Meaning you have to deliver the honest truth. You know, to your friends, you may not do that all the time. But to a complete stranger, if you go into it with an open mind, that person cannot harm you. He has nothing on you, or she has nothing on you. This is a free place to speak openly and free. And once that hour and a half is over, you wipe your hands and you can go to another therapist. You never have to see this person again. But if I had that hour and a half with you, I'm going to see you Saturday at the table. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it allows that freedom, and it allows that outlet to properly communicate with your partner from a different perspective, from an outside perspective that really cannot harm or deviate to lean toward one side versus the other.
I'm gonna tell you what'll piss you off about therapy, though.
Right.
There'll be something that you've communicated to your wife 1,000 times.
And then it finally
And
was
then it comes from this person, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I get that."
Yeah.
I'm like,
bruh.
But sometimes it's not the person. Like say if you're in a relationship, any of us,
Right.
or you married or whatever,
Right.
and you know your significant other says, you know, where you been? Automatically, you like.
Why you
You know,
questioning?
it's not, you may not respond that way, but automatically you get that energy like, okay, she's questioning me. She whatever I say, she probably won't believe what the answer is.
And you create
But
that
if I say,
Losing regardless.
but if I say,
Regardless.
if I say, where you been?
Yeah.
Oh man, you know, I just, you know, because it's not always the question. It's where the question is coming from. When it comes to therapy, for me, I have an aversion to going to someone who went to school and is getting paid to tell me what I should or should not be doing in whatever situation I'm in. I like to look for something. If I want to be a great mechanic, I'm going to watch a great mechanic.
Right.
So what I've learned to do, having the different varied examples of what a relationship is I come from a large family, so not to put any of my brothers and sisters' business out there, but you know, we had some stuff going on.
Right.
And but what I feel that what I like, that I find therapeutic, is to find someone who's had more life experience than I have, and who is doing well the thing that I would like to do.
Right.
And so if I go to Mr. Williams, who lives next door, or Miss Johnson, who lives downstairs from my brother, and I see that they have a great relationship. I see the love, and I see the camaraderie and the cohesion, and the communication. I go say, hey, and just talk to them and say, I'm having problems with my girlfriend. If I'm having problems with a significant other that is my girlfriend or whatever, I'm going to go to a woman and say, hey, you know, what's that about? I'm not going to go to my boy's dad because he don't know.
Right.
He's not a woman. But I would go to my boy's mom, like my friends, you know, after my mother passed away, a couple of my friends' mothers embraced me as their own son.
sorry to hear that, bro.
And they would say, hey, Mom, I got a question. Mama Faye or Mama Eunice. And I'd ask the question, they said, baby, look. And you know when that black mama put their hands on you, listen, baby. You know you're getting it from a place where it's coming from experience and coming from love,
Authentic.
not an office and a paycheck. To me, that is just for me. So I would prefer to go to someone that I've known for a while who is doing a great job or doing well the thing that I want to do or that I may want to do someday. Because it's one thing that I've learned is that you will never forget good advice. Because one day something's going to happen to you, and that thing that someone said to you years ago
Comes up. Yeah.
dang, and so it's still in there. You don't forget it. It's just in the recesses of your mind. So for me, going to therapy is more of a personal thing that, and it's not. I have never been to therapy, but it's therapeutic for me to go to someone who is, my elder. If I'm going to learn some life-changing stuff from someone, I would love to have that information come from someone who has more life experience than I do.
Wow.
Smarter in seconds. Burnout. Burnout is a state of mental and physical exhaustion resulting from overwork or stress. Anyone can experience burnout. Take note of these warning signs. Are you or someone you know neglecting needs like eating, sleeping, socializing, all in order to work more? Experiencing denial, isolation, avoidance, irritability, aggression due to stress and exhaustion? Feeling like you're on autopilot, empty, or losing your sense of self? In a society that values productivity above everything else, burnout is normalized. But remember, you deserve rest, and how productive you are does not define how worthy or valuable you are. If you feel like you may be experiencing burnout, seek out mental health resources. Talk about it. Remember, you deserve rest, and you're not alone.
Smarter in seconds.
My name is Maxwell from Z100 here in New York, but he's, you know what I mean? For real, for real. Charlamagne the God, man, come on, dude. Thank you for allowing us to have this conversation.
No, man, I'm thankful that we're, alive and able to have this conversation on this beautiful Sunday, this World Mental Health Day. And these brothers right here, every single one of these brothers on this stage inspire me in a real way. So I'm just I'm grateful to be able to have this conversation with y'all today, man. So thank you for coming.
Yes.
And I want to start with Jason, Mr. Jason Wilson. Jason, why does subscribing to society's view of a real man do more harm than good?
That's a very good question. It does more harm because society's definition of a man is limited. As a black man, as what I'm learning now is just not our issue, it's a man's issue, but we've allowed ourselves to be defined by the culture, and the culture defines men only by masculine attributes. And when we only can live under masculine attributes such as strength, power, and protection, etc., we really can't be the nurturers we were created to be. We can't be compassionate when we need to be. We can't be long-suffering or patient. And as a result of that, when we feel that we're becoming weak, which we all will at times become weak, we feel that we're not men anymore. And then you wonder why the suicide rate amongst black men is the highest in history right now. And so it's truly detrimental for a man to only be masculine. Now, is there a such thing as toxic masculinity? Absolutely not. As I was sharing with one brother, if this building was on fire, we all need to be exuding masculine attributes to get up out of here to save our lives. However, a man becomes toxic when he allows his emotions, or he allows this masculine mandate to prohibit him from being comprehensive, basically expressing the other emotions that he's been given. And so my definition is a comprehensive manhood, or becoming a comprehensive man, someone who's courageous, but also compassionate, strong, but sensitive, a man who can freely live from the good in his heart instead of his fears.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to expound on that?
Yeah.
Feel free.
Well, one of the things that you were telling me backstage, and what we were really digging into is the ability to be willing to feel, to be vulnerable. So with that, how important is it for us to be willing to go there in order to release some of this toxic energy that could be and is very much built up inside of us as black men?
I think part of willingness is also having permission.
Okay.
Yeah, many of us as men have not had permission to feel. I think we've often have been led to believe that our emotions are invalid. And something that I shared recently, my mother just discovered me on YouTube. So she's 63. So she says, "Hey, I saw this video of you talking about some stuff with your dad." And she said, 63, she said, "Jay, I didn't know men had emotions."
Wow.
And she told me, she said, "I apologize for not understanding that you were going through and had feelings too." And I think part of us as men being able to feel is having the space to feel and giving permission that it's okay to acknowledge that your feelings and your emotions are real, rather than just kind of, avoiding it as most of us have done.
Finally, another installment of our weekly series, Brief but Spectacular. Morgan Dixon and Vanessa Garrison are the founders of the nonprofit Girl Trek. It's part of their mission to reduce the leading causes of preventable death among African American women.
Black women are dying faster and at higher rates than any other group in America from obesity-related diseases. We carry the trauma in our bones from systemic racism. We carry the trauma in our bones from serving other people before we serve ourselves, and that has to stop now. So Girl Trek asks women to reclaim 30 minutes a day to their own personal self-care and to be a freedom fighter for themselves and their communities.
That. I am grateful, like many Black women in this country, to have been raised by a village of Black women. My grandmother and my aunties stepped in when my mother was not available to care for me. And in that stepping in, they sacrificed so much. And I lost my grandmother at 66 years old to a heart attack. I've lost 2 aunts before the age of 60. The crisis is taking the women from my family at an age that just feels very unfair to me.
Girl Trek is the largest health organization in the country for Black women. We are reclaiming the streets of Black neighborhoods one woman at a time. Our goal is to rally 1 million Black women to walk to save their lives.
80% of Black women are over a healthy body weight. 53% are obese. More than 2/3 of Black women get little to no leisure time physical activity. And the most heartbreaking of all, 1 in 2 Black girls born in 2000 are projected to get diabetes unless levels of activity or diet changes.
There's a hashtag Trust Black Women, and I would encourage you to do that because Black women from Alabama to Bree Newsom, who climbed the flagpole, all the way back to Anita Hill, have been charting the way forward for social change.
For the record, Black women love the way they look, and Black women are extraordinarily beautiful, and we come in all shapes and sizes, but Black women are oftentimes hiding from a lot of the things that they have experienced, and our bodies have experienced a lot of trauma, and we do not have a lot of extra time in our lives to exercise. It's not a woman's individual decision to wake up every day and say, I don't want to exercise. It's actually, I'm working 2 jobs, I'm putting food on the table, I'm taking care of my children, I'm being a loving mother, I want to give love to my spouse. And then in all of that, where do I then find the time to prioritize myself? So Girl Trek, for those women, is instructional. Every single day, we give women first, the permission, second, the language, and the third, the practical instructions. How do you carve out time for yourself every day? How do you communicate to your friends and your family that you should be a priority? What do you do when you have the 30 minutes for yourself? How do you knit all of those things together so that it benefits you, your family, and your community? My name is Vanessa Garrison.
And I'm Morgan Dixon.
And this is our brief but spectacular take
on mobilizing Black women to save their own lives.
Remember that, Girl Trek.
Calls for justice after a controversial mall brawl in New Jersey. Some advocates say skin color played a role in how 2 teens involved were treated. As CBS 2's Dave Carlin reports, today protesters took their complaints to police.
One name repeatedly echoed across the plaza of Bridgewater Police Headquarters.
We are Kai. We are Kai. We are Kai. We are Kai.
These demonstrators are here supporting Zakai, an 8th grader they say was racially profiled and brutalized by a pair of police officers, as seen in this video taken inside Bridgewater Commons Mall. The 14-year-old's aunt, Henri, talked about the caught-on-camera brawl between the teens that ended with police officers treating each boy differently. The aunt explained to the crowd what led up to it.
He was defending someone even smaller and younger than him, a 7th grader, against high schoolers. And he was met with not 1, but 2 knees in his back.
Officers kneeled on and handcuffed Zakai, but the other boy named Joseph was allowed to sit on a couch, free to move about. When interviewed, Joseph said he received much better treatment and was puzzled by it.
I put my hands up like this and I said, you guys could detain me. But she said, no, because you were calm.
There are calls for the officers involved to be fired. That is the outcome wanted by Zakai.
If they don't know how to treat the situation and deal with the situation equally and fairly, then they shouldn't be able to deal with the situation at all.
He's so quiet and shy. Being pushed into the limelight like this, especially on these circumstances, are not ideal for him. I'm not going to wait for my nephew to die to stand up for him.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy reacted to this case with a statement that watching the video left him, quote, deeply disturbed. The Somerset County Prosecutor's Office is helping Bridgewater with the investigation. On Saturday, representatives from both did not comment about a case where calls for attention and justice grow louder.
What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now.
In Bridgewater Township, New Jersey, Dave Carlin, CBS 2 News.
As more evidence comes out in the federal hate crimes trial for these 3 white men who killed Ahmaud Arbery. This is all new evidence. We did not see any of this in the state trial. 11 Alive's Hope Ford walks us through the racist text messages and social media posts that have now come to light as prosecutors fight to prove this trio killed Arbery because he was black. We do want to warn you, these details are very disturbing.
A jury hearing for the first time from an FBI analyst as they decide whether or not the 3 men convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery did so because he was black. Texts and posts presented by the analyst show an open contempt for black people. Travis McMichael allegedly responding to a video of a black man pulling a prank on a white man with, "I'd kill that." In a reply to a Facebook video showing black teenagers, McMichael reportedly wrote, "Shoot all of them, those monkeys." The FBI testifying Travis McMichael referred to black people as animals, monkeys, and subhuman savages. Defendant William Roddy Bryan reportedly sending a text to a friend about his daughter's relationship with a black man. She has her now. Bryan also reportedly calling an MLK Day parade the Monkey Parade. Arbery's father, Marcus, visibly upset after hearing the latest testimony.
Man, that's a sickness. That is a sickness, and that Travis McMichael, he was a very racial hateful man.
Travis McMichael's attorney arguing the post require additional context, while Bryan's attorney specifically says his client was not obsessed with race and never wanted any harm for Arbery, only following the McMichaels to film what was happening. Arbery's family not buying the defense's words.
This ain't something that just started with them being hateful. It go way back.
The trial continues on Thursday in Brunswick and is expected to last 7 to 10 days. I'm Hope Ford for 11 Alive News.
With his hands extended out of his driver's window, he was grabbed out, thrown to the ground, and struck 16 times in the head. I would have thought this: what crime did I commit? Being a black man in a Cadillac, stopped for a minor traffic offense by a group of racist police officers looking to do a. After hearing the defendant and his fellow officers joke about his injuries as they were wiping blood off their uniforms with disinfectant. 2015. Please be quiet in my courtroom. How does this happen?
To Mr. Dent and his family, I am truly sorry.
It's embarrassing, and I was angry.
It was the unsolicited homecoming that left Bronx native Darren Martin unsettled. After spending several years working on Capitol Hill and in the White House with the Obama administration, Martin recently made the move back to New York, getting a job with the city and finding a unit in this 5-story walk-up on the Upper West Side. On moving day this past Friday, Martin got an unexpected visit from the NYPD.
I'm in my apartment, but, can't go nowhere without the cops following me.
Turns out someone called 911 to report a burglary in progress. And the suspect? The building's brand new tenant, Martin.
Somebody called the cops on me in my own building. About how many y'all? About 6 of y'all showed up, rolled up on me.
This was the only time that I had to move, and I didn't think anyone was really gonna call the cops on me because, I was moving into the building.
Without skipping a beat, Martin went live on Instagram, documenting the encounter with authorities.
Trying to break into my own apartment. All the doors, banging, possibly a weapon, large tool. Oh my God.
An investigation later determined there was nothing criminal about Martin's activity. He tells us his skin color, along with the gentrifying neighborhood along 106th Street, were obvious factors that led to police being called.
As a black man, when you're in an all-white environment, you're cognizant of that. So I have to say I found it symbolic and it's sort of a welcome to the neighborhood.
Sadly, Martin's story isn't one of a kind.
What did they get called for? Because there are two black guys sitting here meeting me? Yes.
Earlier this month, 2 black men were arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks for trespassing after asking to use a bathroom. In Martin's case, he hopes the incident serves as a teaching moment for his neighbor and others out there jumping to conclusions.
Get to know folks before you make these assumptions, because, when you make that call, there's no going back. And it could have ended up very differently.
Smarter in Seconds, Juneteenth, a step toward the end of chattel slavery in the United States. In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation only ended slavery in the states that had seceded from the United States. The U.S. proclamation was only enforceable by U.S. soldiers. It wasn't until 1 month after the end of the Civil War, on June 19, 1865, that enslaved people in Texas were freed because U.S. soldiers had retaken Texas. 7 months later, the 13th Amendment ended slavery in the United States, except as a punishment for crime. Honor Juneteenth by learning more.